ओम जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमो कृष्णाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतिशे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So Hare Krishna, welcome everyone back again to the series that we have been doing, where we are trying to study the Bhagavad Gita based on the commentary of Sripad Ramanujacharya and also some verses of Yamunacharya. So currently we have almost completed, we have completed 8 chapters and we are at the 9th chapter. So as usual, we will start with the Gitartha Sangraha verse of Yamunacharya, where he summarizes, the entire 9th chapter. Let's see what he has to say about the 9th chapter. Swamahatmya manushyattve paratvam cha mahatmanam vishesho navame yogo bhakti rupa prakirtitah. So again, very brilliant verse where Yamunacharya summarizes the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Basically, he is saying that there are 4 topics in the 9th chapter. The first is Swamahatmyam. That means the greatness of Bhagavan. Manushyatve paratvam. That means his superiority even during his avatars. That means when he comes to this world also, how he is superior. Then Mahatmana Visheshaha. That means the speciality of Bhakta. Okay, the speciality of Bhakta. And Bhakti Rupa Prakirti, Bhakti Rupa Yoga Prakirtita, the path of Bhakti Yoga. Okay, these are the topics that are explained. Okay, so it's a very, again, if you think about it, it's a very amazing summary because this is indeed what is covered in the 9th chapter Bhagavad Gita. The Lord's greatness followed by his superior. So his greatness is there, is spoken until verse number 9.10. The first set of verses are about Swamahatmyam, the greatness of the Lord. Then Manushyatve Paratvam is from 9.11 to 9.13. How even when he comes to this world, his superiority is there. Then the other topics come. The speciality of bhaktas is towards the end actually, where Krishna talks about how the devotee is so great that even if he has done some mistake or something, still he's supposed to be saintly and so on. Speciality of bhaktas has been said, and the path of bhakti yoga, like Satatam Kirtayanto Mam and Patram Pushpam Phalantoyam Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto. This is all about the path of bhakti yoga. In this way, Yamunacharya says that there are 4 topics covered in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Right? It's again a very beautiful summary. It will help you remember. So Ramanujacharya starts by saying that the difference between the 9th chapter and the 7th chapter we have already studied. In 7th chapter, we had said Swayatatmyam. So that means characteristics of the Lord were described in the 7th chapter. Here his greatness is described. Generally greatness is something more superior to just characteristics. There it was about Paramatma, it was about the various ingredients in the material world, Binna Prakriti and so on. Correct? So that was characteristics of the Lord. It was Yamunacharya had called it Swayatatmyam, if you remember, in the 7th chapter. Whereas in the 9th chapter, he is saying it is Swamahatmyam. It is his greatness that is going to be discussed. Okay, so this is how it is. Now, somebody may say, how can we say that Bhakti Yoga is being covered in this chapter, or how to understand what is the topic of a particular chapter? So, Ramanujacharya brilliantly quotes from one place saying, Upakrama Upasamhara Abhyasa Apurvavata Phalam Arthavada Upapatti Lingam Tatparya Nirnaya. So this is a verse which says how to decide. Tatparya Nirnaya. Tatparya Nirnaya means how to decide what is being spoken in a particular chapter of Gita or anything that you're studying. So he says first thing is Upakrama and Upasamhara. Upakrama, Upasamhara means how the chapter begins, how the chapter ends. For example, if you see the 9th chapter, 9.1 Krishna is speaking about bhakti, 9.34 also Manmana Bhavamakuttu is speaking about bhakti. So Upakrama Upasamhara, that means the chapter is beginning and ending with bhakti. Okay. Then Abhyasa. Abhyasa means repetition. What is the theme that is repeated again and again in the chapter? If you ask, then again the question answer is bhakti only is being repeated. Okay, then Apurvata. Apurvata means what is something new that has been stated in the Bhagavad Gita in this particular chapter. So, for example, in the previous chapter, so many topics were said. What is new that is being spoken in the 9th chapter? Then that is again bhakti. And then Phalam, that means what is the result that is stated? Okay, so again, if you see in the 9th chapter, the fruits of bhakti are stated. And Arthavada, what is glorified in the chapter, like 9.2, etc. If you see, bhakti only is being glorified. And Upapatti, that means why bhakti is glorified. That means the logic for describing something. Correct? Like Krishna says, right? That even if a devotee is does something which is socially condemnable, but still you should consider him saintly. That means there is a lot of logic that has been spoken about why a bhakta and a bhakti is very glorious. So in this way, Ramanuja says that this entire chapter is certainly about bhakti yoga only, and we should not have any doubt in this regard. Okay, so let's jump into the chapter, look at the verses, look at the translations of Ramanujacharya, and also I will be adding only some points which are very special in the commentary. As I have said many times, many of the commentary points that we read in Bhagavad Gita as it is of Srila Prabhupada are actually very similar to what Ramanujacharya says. So whatever is overlap, I may not speak so much. Whatever is slightly different, I'm going to only speak that part. Okay, so let's start with the 9.1. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Idam Tute Dukhyatamam Pravaksham Yanusuyave Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam Yajnatva Moksha She Shubhat. Okay, I'm reading the translation here. I'm going to impart clearly and briefly to you who is free from envy on hearing my glories this knowledge called Bhakti Yoga, along with its various characteristics, which is the topmost secret, by knowing and practicing which you will be liberated from all sins which will obstruct you from attaining me. Okay, so the very beautiful translation that he has given here. So he's saying that why am so the first 3 verses 9.1 to 9.3 is like an introduction. Okay. Then only Krishna enters into the topics which have been mentioned. So first thing here Krishna is saying is that I am speaking this to you because you are free from envy on hearing my glories. Okay, so for example, Ramanujacharya says somebody like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, etc. They had a lot of envy towards Krishna. So because they were envious, they couldn't tolerate hearing the glory. So somebody may say, what is the proof that Arjuna was not envious? So the answer is in 7th chapter, a lot of greatness of Krishna has already been said. Like Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya. And so many verses were there in the 7th chapter where Krishna's greatness or several characteristics of Krishna have been said. And Arjuna was not at all envious on hearing that. Arjuna was very happy to hear it. And that is why Krishna is saying that, hey, look, because you are not having envy on hearing my glories, that is why I am speaking this to you. Okay, so it is a fact that sometimes people are very envious of Krishna, or they wonder that why this person is having so many qualities or so many wonderful things. So there are people we see sometimes that who feel great envy towards Krishna, even in the modern world. Right. Of course, everyone has some inbuilt envy, but I'm talking even about explicitly showing the envy is also seen very much. So anyway, so here Krishna is saying that because you are free from envy, now I'm going to discuss. Now somebody may say, "Are idam." So how can you say the knowledge called Bhakti Yoga? Because Ramanujacharya translates jnanam as knowledge called Bhakti Yoga. Somebody may say, "Are how can this be Bhakti Yoga?" So what he says is, he says, "See, it is like this. Okay, there is the knowledge, jnana, which is, so if you remember, see, this is all connected to 7.16. I hope all of you remember, we have discussed this when we were discussing 7th chapter. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukrutanorjuna artho jijnasur arthati jnani cha bharatarshava. If you remember that verse, it is from that verse that same thread is continuing till now. If you remember that time, we have discussed this, and even based on Prabhupada's Gita, we know that the jnani which is spoken in that 7th chapter, 16th verse is actually referring to the bhakta. That means it is referring to someone who becomes a devotee of the Lord because of understanding his glories. Okay, correct? And then if you remember in the 7th chapter, Krishna is glorifying that jnani only. And in the 8th chapter also, if you remember Ramanuja's commentary, he's talking about 3 types of devotees. One is the Aishwaryarti, one is the Kaivalyarti, and one is Bhagavallabharti. That means one is the Artho and Artharti is Aishwaryarti, who wants Aishwarya. Then that Jignasu is that Kaivalyarti, he wants impersonal liberation. And that Jnani is the Bhagavallabharti, he is the devotee, correct? So that is why, so that is the thread that is continuing here, because of which Jnana is again being called as Bhakti Yoga. Why it is called as Bhakti Yoga? Because it is due to the Jnana that the person is becoming a devotee, correct? In 7.16. So it is that connection only here. However, Ramanuja says it is not just Jnana. Along with the Jnana, there are so many other things also, because a person will practice Bhakti and so on. But it all begins with that. Okay. And then Vijnana Sahitam. Vijnana Sahitam means along with various characteristics. Okay. And there's a very big secret as well. By knowing and practicing which, you will be liberated from all sins which obstruct you from attaining me. So here question is asked, what are the sins that we are talking about? So Ramanuja says that there are different types of sins which are wiped off by different types of yoga systems. For example, if you remember, we have spoken about how even doing karma yoga, some sins are wiped off. Okay, but that is at one level only. Okay, karma yoga has a particular ability to wipe off certain types of sins which a person has. Okay, but bhakti is going to wipe off a different set of sins only, which obstruct us from attaining Krishna. Okay, so these are even higher types of sinful activities which we may have in our system, due to which our bhakti is getting obstructed, which bhakti only is going to wipe off. Okay, so Krishna is saying that this. So that is why when we hear in the scriptures that you do this type of a particular activity, these sins are wiped, etc. One has to understand that different processes have different levels of potency to wipe off sins, and bhakti is said to have the highest potency, to wipe off all types of sins, and especially which are obstructing us in progress in bhakti itself. Okay, so that is what Krishna is talking here, and now he is going to talk some more glories of bhakti yoga before he goes ahead. So look at the second verse. Raja Vidya Rajaguhyam Pavitramidam Uttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartum Abhyayam. Such a beautiful verse. This knowledge called Bhakti Yoga Upasana is the best among all sciences of knowledge. It is a king among secrets. This is the topmost means which can eradicate all types of sins which obstruct the attainment of Bhagavan. This science which is capable of enabling direct apprehension of Bhagavan. Though the bhakti towards Bhagavan is an end in itself, it is also the means for attaining the supreme goal of liberation, which is pleasing and easy to practice and is imperishable. Okay, so it's a very beautiful translation again. We will elaborate on some of the points which he has said here. So first thing, I'll start with this. So Ramanuja says that the bhakti is something like, suppose somebody gives you a lot of wealth. He gives you, let us say, 100,000 coins, gold coins or something, and says that I will give you all these gold coins. All you have to do is sit and chew sugarcane. Okay, somebody may say, Are, you are asking me to chew sugarcane, and for doing that, you are only giving me 100,000 coins. So the answer is yes, it is like that. So he says that is how bhakti is. I mean, the process is also very nice. You are asked to chew sugarcane, the juice of bhakti, and the result is also great. You get 100,000 coins or whatever. Okay, so the idea is that the process is also wonderful, and the result is also wonderful. That is so. We will. So that is why it is called susukham. kartum. Susukam means it is pleasing and easy to practice. Okay, so here Ramanuja contrasts Bhakti Yoga to previous yogas like Karma Yoga, etc. Where somebody may feel, I'm sure all of us also, when we hear Karma Yoga, how all these duties have to be done and so on, it kind of, you tend to feel, oh my God, all these things have to be done, what to do, whether I like it or no, I have to do it. There may be a slight feeling that this is not, it looks a little painful to do, etc. Correct? Like even Arjuna, if you see carefully, Karma Yoga, he had to do Karma Yoga. His Karma Yoga was to fight, but it was a little painful. But anyway, Krishna told him that there is no question, you cannot escape from this, you will have to do this. But when it comes to bhakti, there is nothing like that. Okay, Arjuna, if you remember, during Karma Yoga section, he asked a lot of questions. Whether I can escape from this Karma Yoga and directly go to Jnana Yoga, etc. But in bhakti, he is not going to ask anything like that because it is susukham. It is very easy to practice. Okay. And it is avyayam. Ramanuja says avyayam means what? Because it says avyayam means imperishable. Somebody may say, how can something be imperishable? Once it gives results, then it is over, right? Like, for example, let us say somebody does bhakti and he goes back to Godhead. So over. Once he has gone back to Godhead, the result has been given, everything is, settled. So he says, no, it is not like that. Even if the Lord takes the devotee back to Vaikuntha, he says, Krishna feels that I have not yet sufficiently bestowed awards upon my devotee. He says, Krishna feels that, okay, no problem, my devotee, I got him back to Vaikuntha, but still I need to reward my devotee even more for his bhakti. So he says that is why this bhakti which is there, it is imperishable, as in it never stops giving fruit. That means even after liberation, after reaching spiritual world, one keeps getting the benefit of bhakti, which is why it is called avyayam. Okay, so it is susukam, it is avyayam also. And dharmyam, that means dharma means, he says that the means and the end are same. That is the translation he gives for dharmyam. Okay, we have already discussed this. The means and the ends are same. Pratyaksha means you can directly have pratyaksha, sakshat darshan of Bhagavan. That means bhakti yoga is something where ultimately it has the power to bring the Lord and show him to you and me. Okay, so pratyaksha vagamam, it gives direct perception of the Lord. Okay, so it is said that is like, that's the ultimate culmination or whatever of bhakti yoga process, where it can give you a direct perception of Bhagavan. It's not just that you are hearing from scripture and you are accepting. No, directly you can see. And Pavitram Uttama means, he says, Ramanuja says that it can eradicate all types of sins. So he says Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga also can eradicate sins, but this can eradicate a completely different level of sins only. Okay, and Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. So Raja Vidya, he says, among all Vidya, it is the king. That is one way of looking at Raja Vidya. Another way of looking at Raja Vidya is, among kings, this is knowledge. Among kings means among those whose mind is great, like a king. Being a king means, sometimes we say, the person lives like a king. That means someone who has a very grand life or whatever, someone whose life is big. For such a person, this is the topmost knowledge. This is the knowledge which such a person would be keen on obtaining. Okay, so in this way, this verse again, this verse is considered glorification of bhakti. Okay, and this glorification continues for one more verse before Krishna enters Swamahatmyam. Ashraddadana Purusha Dharmasyasya Param Tapa Aprapya Mam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. Krishna says, hey, scorcher of foes, Arjuna, some people, even though qualified to practice this bhakti yoga, lack the faith and eagerness to practice it, thus lacking the means to attain me. They remain perpetually on the path of transmigration, which involves birth, death, and numerous other difficulties. So Krishna is feeling very bad that, array, this process is so sweet. Bhakti yoga is so sweet, and the result is also so sweet. But still, despite this greatness, that's why he says, Asya Dharmasya. That means such a good process, but still some people are Nivartante. Nivartante means they are firmly rooted in this world. They have decided they don't want to, get out. So such people will say that I will not practice bhakti. And such people, what happens to them? They cannot they cannot go back to the spiritual world. They have to remain here. So from this verse, it is being very clear that while all the other yoga systems which are there, like Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, they can bring you till the platform of liberation, so to speak. Actual mukti or obtaining the spiritual world can be possible only by bhakti. Those other processes are going to bring you till this point, but then you will have to practice this. Correct? So that is why Krishna is saying this. Now, let's go into the first part. So now we are actually starting with the first theme of this chapter. What is that? So Mahatmyam. If you remember, I said from Ramanuja's commentary. Correct? From Yamunacharya's verse. Sorry. Yeah. So let's read this 9.4. Maya tadamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina matstani sarvabhutani nachaham teshu avastitaha. All the sentient and non-sentient entities in this whole universe is pervaded by me, who is unmanifest. All these entities, sentient and non-sentient, reside in me. I sustain and support all of them, and I am not present in them. So these verses are considered slightly difficult because Krishna is saying, I'm supported, I'm not there. Again and again, he's apparently making statements which seem contradictory. But again, the commentary is very, very beautiful here, which will help us understand this verse better. So Ramanuja says that in this verse 9.4, 9.5, 9.6, Krishna is speaking about something called as Vyapti. Vyapti means how he is there everywhere. Okay. So the first thing is Maya Tadam Idam Sarvam. Idam generally means this. Like in Sanskrit, Idam means this. Correct? But Ramanujacharya says that here in this verse, Idam doesn't only mean what we see, but Idam means everything in the material world that we don't see also. That is all the creation in the material universe, which we see and we don't see, is all called as Idam. Idam Sarvam means all the world. So what is Krishna saying? Maya Tadam Idam Sarvam. I am pervading everything here. So that means basically Krishna is talking about his power called as Vyapti. Vyapti means all pervasiveness. Krishna is saying he is there everywhere. But then if somebody will say if he is Vyapti, does it mean we can see him? So the answer is no. Avyakta Murtina. That means he is there everywhere, but you are not going to be able to see him like that. Okay, that means Vyapti characteristic is there. Okay, but he is not Vyapti in the sense that you can see him directly. So you will be, he is going to be in an unmanifest form only, he is going to be there. Like that. Okay. So Ramanuja says, so even Akasha is Sarva Vyapi. Akasha means like air is there everywhere, right? Akasha or ether is Sarva Vyapi. Is the Lord like Akasha? Is the Paramatma similar to Akasha? He says no. The difference is Paramatma is sentient. That means Paramatma is aware that he is there and he is aware of everything. He has a purpose. Whereas Akasha is non-sentient. So we cannot say that Paramatma is everywhere like Akasha. No, he is not like Akasha. Akasha is Achit. It is matter which is there everywhere. But Paramatma is everywhere. He is everywhere, completely aware, conscious, of the entire creation. Yeah, there is some noise in the background. So what has happened is there is this Navratri festival that is beginning. So there is a lot of crackers. I think it has just stopped now. So maybe it will be better. Okay. So he says that Ramanuja says that Paramatma, he is not just everywhere like ether, but he is everywhere completely conscious, of this entire Srishti. Okay, so he says just like without Atma, the body cannot stay, and we say the Atma is actually bearing this body. Similarly, this entire Jagata is being borne by the Lord. Okay, and nothing, just like the body cannot survive without the Atma. If the Atma leaves and goes, the body is going to collapse. Similarly, this entire Srishti of this material world is like a body of the Supreme Paramatma. And without him, none of these things could, stay together like that. Okay, and in that way we understand he is there everywhere. Jagad avyaktam. Okay, Matstani Sarva Bhutani. Everything is in him. Just like the whole body is being supported by the Atma. But then why does he say Nachaham Teshu Avastita? Nachaham Teshu Avastita means what? I am not present in them. So Ramanuja here very beautifully he says, the Lord is saying I am not present in them means I am not dependent on them for my existence. Okay. So please try to understand. In the previous example, we said, just like our body is being born by our Atma, correct? Similarly, I said the whole universe is being born by the Lord. But the difference is the Atma is bearing the body for his own advantage. Correct? He wants to enjoy this material world for which he needs this body. Okay, so the similarity is only in the sense of the conscious entity controlling the matter. Only in that sense, there is similarity between Atma bearing of the body and the Paramatma bearing the entire universe. But it is not similar in the sense that the Atma is wanting to enjoy or, enjoy the benefits of this body. Through this body, he wants to enjoy the material world. Whereas the Paramatma is not interested in that. And that is why he says, Nachaham Teshu Avastita. I am not present in them. I am not present in them as in my consciousness is not in these things to enjoy. So it's a very beautiful explanation if you think about it. I mean, let's look at that whole verse once again. Maya tadamitam sarvam means, first of all, everything is in him. How is in him? Avyakta, unmanifest. We cannot see. Matstani sarva bhutani. Okay. He only supports and sustains everything. Okay. So because everything is in him, and somebody may say, as I said, air is also there everywhere. No, but Matstani, that means he is supporting all this. Just like the Atma is supporting the body, the Paramatma is supporting this entire creation, but he is not in it. He is not in it as in his heart is not in it. He is not consciously involved in it. He is not dependent on it for anything. In that sense, Nachaham Teshu Avastita. And in this way, this verse is explained. So I think it's a very simple, but again, beautiful explanation that you understand the verse properly. And this concept, Krishna elaborates in the next verse. Nachamatstani bhutani pashyame yogam aishwaryam bhuta brinnacha bhutasto mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. And all the entities do not reside in me in the manner that water is supported in a pot. I sustain all the beings by my mere will. Behold my divine, powerful, wonderful power, which is unique to me. I support all the entities in the universe, and I do not exist in any of them in the manner wherein they provide any form of help, support for my existence. My divine will creates, sustains, directs all entities in the universe. Okay, so here again, this is going to be an elaboration of the previous verse only. So, what is the first thing Krishna is saying? Krishna is saying that all entities do not reside in me. How they do not reside? So, Ramanuja is giving an example. He says, let us not think that everything is residing in the Lord means it is like the water in a pot. Okay, so if you see in a pot, when we store water, then we can all see that the water is being supported by the pot only. Means it's very externally obvious that it is only because of the pot that the water is being supported. Correct? Or similarly, gives an example like a finger bears a gold ring. So in this way, he says in this world, something big always bears something small. Like a pot bears water, the finger bears the gold ring, and so on. So he says, let us not think that in such a manner the Lord is bearing everything. No. How does he bear it then? So that is why he is saying, behold my wonderful power. I support all these things, okay, by my will, mamatma. By my will means, that means externally I am not going to be seen. It is only because of my will that all these things are being supported by me. Okay, so that means the point is we cannot see Krishna very directly also. It's not something, that's why, if you see carefully, even atheism many times, it has a very strong logic, if you see. That's why we see sometimes that even in our scriptures also, there is like Brihaspati has written a treatise on atheism. Or many sometimes we hear this, some sages have also written about some atheistic concepts. Why they have been able to write is because the world is created in such a wonderful way that at some level it seems as if there is no one there, like, there is no God or Ishvara, and still everything runs perfectly. And that's the beauty of this whole thing. Okay, so that's why we need to understand when Krishna is saying Nachamatstani Bhutani, don't think that I am like a pot holding water or like a finger holding the gold ring. I'm not going to be so easily perceivable here. Okay, I'm supporting all this by my will. That's all. Okay, so Ramanuja gives an example. Just like the Atma also is supporting the body externally, we don't see the Atma like that supporting the body. It's very difficult to understand. Like you have to really employ Anumana Praman to understand that the Atma is supporting the body. Most of the time it is not that obvious that how come this Atma is supporting the body. So he says, just like that, this is the Atma, even though it is so tiny or whatever, but still it has the ability where it bears this entire body and keeps giving direction to it. Similarly, the Lord, he's even more sukshma than the Atma, and he is holding all this material universe, and one cannot see him also so easily. And that's the understanding of this verse. So this verse also teaches us that if someone is adamant that they don't want to see Ishvara in the creation, they will have sufficient ways to understand that. And that's why we see sometimes atheistic arguments are also, they have quite strong arguments from their perspective, because it does seem at some level that everything in this world is, going on magically without anybody, because the Lord is not going to be so directly seen anywhere in this creation. Okay, so he says, it is my divine will only that creates, sustains, okay, that creates, sustains, and directs everything in the universe. Okay, and he says that I don't rely on anyone else to bear anything, and hence he's using the word Atma. That means when he says Mamatma, means it is only his will by which he is bearing and supporting everything. He doesn't depend on anyone, okay, and he doesn't rely on anybody else for that particular reason. So in these two verses, Krishna is talking about his Mahatmyam. He's talking about his greatness. How everything is in him, but he is not attached to anything. He is completely detached from all this stuff. He is not interested in enjoying this. And at the same time, you can't see him so directly also. Okay, it is only by his will that he exists in all these things. So like this. So his Mahatmya has been discussed. Now in the next verse, Krishna is giving an example for this Mahatmya. Okay, for this concept. Yata akash Yataakashasthito nityam vayu sarvatra gomahan tata sarvani bhutani mattani tyupadhareya. Just as being supported by me, the mighty voluminous air existing in ether without any support is always moving around everywhere, in the similar manner understand that all sentient and non-sentient entities reside in me only and are supported and controlled by Bhagavan only. So Krishna is giving an example here of Vayu. So why does he give the example of Vayu? So Ramanuja says that if he gives the example of pot holding water, then somebody may say, "Arey pot," then pot is being held by the earth. So gross things are more difficult to give examples. So the most subtle thing Krishna could give is Vayu, because Vayu is up in the air and it doesn't seem that there is any support for it. So it's like, ether is kind of all pervading, it seems. So that's why he's given such an example. Okay, and in this way he says, now with this verse Ramanuja says that one theme is done, that all maintenance is under the control of the Supreme Lord. Because if you see the previous two verses where Maya Tadamidam Sarvam and all that was spoken, the focus of Krishna is how he is the maintainer of everything. Okay, so somebody may ask, then what about creation and destruction? Okay, because there are three things, right? There is creation, maintenance, destruction. Okay, maintenance is under him. Then what about creation and destruction? So in the next two verses, Krishna is talking about how even creation and destruction is under him only. Okay, look at 9.7. Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpado visrijamyam. Hey Arjuna, at the time of dissolution, which is the end of Brahma's life, all living entities which were created before, dissolve, enter into the Mula Prakriti, the primordial matter which forms my body. At the beginning of the next Kalpa cycle, I create them again. Okay, so in this verse, what is happening? Krishna, see, because previously Krishna spoke about maintenance. Now he's speaking about his greatness in terms of destruction and recreation, saying that at the time of dissolution, when Brahma's life is over, everybody is going to merge into the Mula Prakriti. Okay, so the Mula Prakriti is like the primordial matter, right? Which becomes the five objects. So here, so our Vedanta philosophy is what is called as the theory of transformation. Theory of transformation means the Mula Prakriti only becomes five objects. So an example is given, just like milk becomes curd. When milk becomes curd, it is not that some milk is remaining or something else is remaining. No, the entire milk only transforms into curd. So similarly, he says that this Mahat Tattva, which is called here as Mula Prakriti, that only transforms into various elements. And in the reverse, what happens? It is something like curd again becoming milk. Of course, we may not see that happening in this world, where curd becomes milk again, but just imagine that. So similarly, all these five elements which came from Mahan or Mahat Tattva or Mula Prakriti, they will again go back into that only. Okay. So again and again it is created, and again everything is destroyed. So Ramanuja says, just like a child's toy is broken, sometimes a child's toy is broken, the child starts crying to the parents that I want a new toy. I want the same toy, he cries actually sometimes. You've seen that, right? Sometimes children are very unreasonable. Some toy gets broken, they say that वही toy मुझे वापस चाहिए, I want the same toy again. But then how can the same toy be given back, right? So what do the parents do? They will buy another toy which is very similar to this toy and give it to the child. And the child is happy. He doesn't understand that actually it's a different toy. It's not the same thing. What was broken is gone now. So similarly, he says that the universe which is destroyed, another thing is created. Okay, so it is similar only. Every universe is going to be very similar, but still it is not the same. It's a different creation that happens. And in this way, one is facilitated. Okay, and then Krishna elaborates this concept in the next verse, saying, Prakritim swam avashtabhya visrijami punah punah, bhuta grama vimam kritsnam avasham prakriter vashat. The Mula Prakriti, which is subservient to me, is converted by me into 8 kinds, which I again and again, at the appropriate time for creation, operate for creating the entire fourfold beings: devas, humans, animals, and inanimate things with their subdivisions, who get created with no control on themselves, being completely under the sway of Prakriti Gunas. Okay, so Ramanuja says that in this line, 2 creations are spoken about. There is something called as Samashti and there is something called as Vyashti. Samashti means the primary creation. We all hear na Bhagavatam. There is primary creation and secondary creation. Primary creation is called as Samashti. So the first line of this verse is Samashti. Prakritim swam avashtabhya visrijami punah punah. That means the Mula Prakriti is converted to 8 types of matter. That is done by the Lord himself. This is done before Brahma awakens. And this is called Samashti or primary creation. And the secondary creation is Imam Bhuta Gramam. That means creating different species like Devatas, humans, animals, and so on. This is done by Brahmaji. This is called Vyashti or secondary creation. Okay, and the secondary creation, how does it happen? It happens under the direction of the Lord only, but it is done by Brahmaji. But here the Lord is saying that I am only doing that, because obviously through the agency of Brahmaji, the Lord only is doing the secondary creation also. And the important thing to be noted here is Krishna is saying here that all these people get created with no control on themselves. That means when the bodies of Devata, human, animals, everything is created without any control on yourself, you are dragged into these bodies. Okay, so that means Prakriter Vashat. That means the Prakriti is going to just force you to be dragged into these bodies. Okay, so this is how. So in this way, if you see in these 5 verses, Krishna has very nicely described what the first theme of 9th chapter. So Mahatmya, his greatness. What is his greatness? Every aspect of maintenance, creation, and annihilation is all happening due to him only. Okay, so like this. So at this point, Ramanuja says that a question may come. Somebody may get a question in their mind. What question? Are, isn't the Lord partial? Why? How can he give some people Devata body, some people human body, some people animal body? Isn't he partial? Because he is giving different bodies to different. It looks that some bodies are better than others. So this is being answered in the next verse, where Krishna is saying, Nachamam tani karmani nibandanti dhananjaya udasina vadasinam asaktam teshu karmasu. Hey Arjuna, in the entire process of creation of all beings with inequalities, I am unattached, asaktam. Since I grant to each Jivatma in accordance with their karma, and I remain completely unconcerned in this process. Okay, I remain completely unconcerned in this process. Hence, the process of creation, which results in beings created unequally, will not lead to any imputations of cruelty or partiality against me. Okay, so Krishna is basically clarifying that, hey, don't think that, because I created all these species, I am responsible. He's saying, no, asaktam, I am unattached. Why? Udasina, I am unconcerned who gets which body. Who is concerned? That fellow, living entity only is concerned. According to his karma only is getting. I have nothing to do with this. And he says that the process of creation, which results in beings getting different bodies, na nibandanti. That means you cannot say that I am partial or cruel. You cannot put any accusation like this on me, because though I have created all these bodies, according to one's own actions only one is getting. So don't put any, accusation on me that I have put somebody in Devata body, in human body, and all that. So at this point, Ramanuja says again another doubt may come to somebody's mind. Array, if it is only karma due to which creation is happening, then why do you need Bhagavan in the first place? Can't Prakriti do all this independently? That means can't Prakriti only do all these things like giving bodies and all? Why do you need a Bhagavan over here? Because he's saying that he's not going to take responsibility also, or he's not responsible for our situation. So why you need him? Just let have a impersonal Prakriti only na, which is doing. So Ramanuja says that actually all these verses one by one, they are defeating all types of philosophy, Jain philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, and so on. So he says, so the next verse answers this point. Okay. If you see, Acharya commentary, the way they give commentary is like questions and answers. So from one verse, one question will come, and that question is answered in the next verse. So if you are carefully attentive to the logic, then you understand that all these verses have a logic in it, right? It is a logic. There is a nyaya in these verses. So Krishna is saying in the next verse, 9.10, Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. Hey Arjuna, the son of Kunti, by me, the controller, the Mula Prakriti, the primordial matter manifests into the body of Deva, human being, animal, or other animate beings as per karma of their respective jivas. Only due to my will and my direction, the world undergoes all these transformations. So, what was the previous question that was asked? The question was that why do we need Bhagavan only if he is not going to take responsibility? Can't Prakriti only do it? So the answer is no. Prakriti cannot, because Prakriti is matter ultimately. And no matter whether it is our body or the matter of this entire universe, it cannot move without a conscious force. So just like this body also, which is made up of matter, needs this Jivatma to push it to do different things. Similarly, this universal matter also needs the Paramatma to push it and get things done. So he says that is why Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti. Okay, Krishna's Adhyakshata or his supervision is very much needed, without which Mula Prakriti cannot do anything by itself. So all these bodies of devatas, animals, human beings that are manifest is all happening only due to the direction of his. So in this way, those doubts are all getting answered. Okay, so till this point, the Mahatmyam is now complete. Okay, the next section, which is just 3 more verses, which we will discuss and end the day, is about Manushyatve Paratvam. Manushyatve Paratvam means the speciality when he comes in incarnation. Okay, see, this is all without his being incarnated in this world. That means we are not talking about his avatar in this world till now. But now we will start talking about his avatar. Okay, so what does Krishna say? The first thing he says is Avajananti ma muda manushim tanumashritam param bhava majananto mama bhuta maheshwara. The unfortunate foolish persons who have accumulated sins do not realize my supreme nature of being the Lord of the universe and also having assumed out of compassion the form of human being and therefore consider me as a mere human being and disregard me. So Krishna says, my speciality. Okay, so till now I've spoken in general about the Mahatmyam of the Paramatma of the Lord. But now he says, as a human being, he comes. Why does he come? Out of great compassion. He comes so that we can meditate upon him. Okay. And what have the ignorant not understood? Ignorant have not understood Parambhava Majananto. That though he has come to this world, he is someone great. Okay. This compassion, his compassion, his ease of access is not understood by the ignorant. And they think he is one of them. Okay. They think that, hey, Amara jaise hi hai. Okay, they think he's one of them. Like sometimes an example is given, the fish thinks that the moon is also one of them, but actually the moon is completely different. So similarly, the ignorant are thinking that the Lord is one of them and doesn't understand his great compassion because of which he has come to this world. Okay, so this is Manushyatve Paratvam, the glories as a human. Okay. Which is being discussed here. Now, why are such foolish people not able to do? So the answer is given in the next verse. Mogasha moga karmano moga jnana vichetasaha rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shritaha. Due to sins accumulated over many previous births, the persons who possess the disposition of tamasic nature of fiends and the rajasic nature of demons, which wield the true nature of mine, as a result possess incorrect knowledge about me and do not have any clear knowledge. So their efforts regarding me, like mocking me, are all in vain, and thus all their hopes remain unfulfilled. So he says that due to Rajoguna, Tamoguna, one cannot understand the Lord. Okay, and due to Rajoguna, Tamoguna, there is an asuric nature, and because of that nature, Mogasha, that means all their desires are fruitless. So somebody may say, what do you mean by all their desires are fruitless? There are so many demons like Ravan who achieved so many things, right? How can we say that everything they did was completely useless or they didn't get any fruit? So again, here he says that no, it is not that everything they do, they will not get anything. If something is in line with the Vedic injunctions or they do something according to their prayasa, they may get something. But when they try to belittle the Lord, that means when they try to show that the Lord is, they belittle him. Basically, they try to show that the Lord is less in something with using their knowledge, desires, then those things become fruitless. So that's the point. So Mogasha, Moga Karmano doesn't necessarily mean that everything that they do is completely useless. What it means is, according to Varnashram, if they have done something, they may get the fruit. That's a different thing. But here we are talking about understanding the Lord. In understanding the Lord, when they try to show him down with their knowledge and with their actions and so on, all that becomes fruitless because they are unable to belittle the Lord because he is great. Okay. So then somebody may say at this point, why is the Lord taking the trouble to come again and again in this world? Okay, so many such foolish people are there who will criticize him and so on. Why does he keep taking the trouble to come again and again? This is the last verse for discussion today. Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakriti mashrita bhajanti manaso nyatva bhutadimapya. Hey Arjuna, however, on the other hand, the great souls, the jnanis, having acquired the divine nature of having sattvika disposition due to meritorious deeds in many previous births, having understood that I am the cause of the entire universe, and with supreme compassion I have descended in a human form so that I am easily accessible to all, and my supreme divine qualities remain immutable. Worship me. with their mind focused only on me, desiring no other benefit other than loving me. So here the Lord is saying that why he comes again and again. He says, I'm coming again and again for the jnanis. And who is this jnani? The same jnani that we are speaking from 7.16. Correct? Chaturveda Bhajan Devamam, the jnani was there, na? That jnani only, he is the bhakta who is being discussed now. Okay, these people, they, due to their sattvic disposition and due to meritorious deeds in many births, they are eager to understand the Lord. And because they are very eager to understand the Lord says, okay, no problem. Even if some foolish people will keep criticizing me, I will still come again and again. So that these people get access to my qualities, my form, they can worship me, and in this way they can progress. So that means the Lord is coming basically out of compassion for the jnani. Okay, despite the fact that so many people are going to criticize him. In this way, okay, so we are completing the, I mean, today's topic with this is done. We'll just go back once again to see Yamunacharya's verse where he began. Swamahatmyam manushyatve paratvam cha mahatmana vishesho navame yogo bhakti rupa prakirtitaha. So Yamunacharya is saying there are 4 topics in 9th chapter. First is Swamahatmyam, his greatness. Manushyatve paratvam. That means when he comes in incarnation, how he is still great. Okay. And so these 2 topics are done. Till 9.10, we saw it was Mahatmyam being discussed. And then Manushyatve Paratvam was discussed in 3 verses from 9.11 to 9.30. Now, 2 more topics are left. Mahatmanam Vishesho, the greatness of devotees, and Bhakti Yoga itself. How is Bhakti Yoga performed? So these 2 topics will form the remaining part of the 9th chapter. Okay, Hare Krishna. If anybody has any questions, we will take. Anybody with a raise of hand?
Haribol Prabhu, I have one question.
Yeah, please.
Which is not related to today's 9th chapter. Sorry.
Yeah.
So in the Swargaloka, there are these animals, right? All kinds of animals are there. So do they uh, like due to some pious activity, does one get animal body in the Swargaloka? I mean,
Yeah,
what is the criteria?
I understood that. Ramanuja, in one commentary I was reading, he says this point very nicely. He says that many times when people hear they will go to Swarga, they think they will enjoy. He says it's not necessarily like that. In Swarga also there are so many categorizations. So he says, for example, all the devatas have servants also. Okay, so those servants are also in Swarga only, but they're servant. Okay, like if you see some, I mean, when we have seen some enjoying the dance of Urvashi or something, there are so many servants who will bring all the juices and everything, right?
Right.
You see in some dramatic performance that behind Indra there is somebody doing chamar, so many people get the juice, take it back. So Ramanuja says that many times to become to go to Devata Loka also there is such a variety of punya that is needed. Who will actually become Devata that needs some extraordinary punya only. But somebody who has a lot of punya but who may not become a Devata, he may end up becoming the servant of that Devata. Actually, when I heard that, I felt in a way that, oh my God, even this is possible. So it's not that you will always go to heaven, then you will be like an Indra sitting there, because that Indra is already there and that needs some extraordinary power to be Indra. So somebody, you may just be a servant in that whole hierarchy over there. Okay. So the
So
best is not to aspire to go to Swargaloka. So yeah, you're right. Similarly, all these animals and all these things also, certainly they are superior to earthly creatures, but again, they are not as great as Indra or someone. So there is a hierarchy there.
okay. So Prabhu, when like today is this Pitri Amavas day, and we are offering, Shraddha to the Pitris. So, in case of devotees,
Yeah.
or let's say anybody, anybody in the Swargaloka or wherever in the heavenly planets, why does he need this punya? Because he can get punya by doing something over there. So, why he cannot do it over there? That is a question that I always have. Let's say a devotee goes into Swargaloka due to some reason. I mean, he can still continue chanting, devotional service, and he doesn't require this pinda, and shraddha and all. But what is the understanding here?
Actually, see, there are two things. One is certainly whether his descendants do something for him or no, everybody can, by their own karma, keep going ahead. That part is accepted only. But we need to do that to show our gratitude. See, the more the onus is on us, actually. This whole concept of Pitru Shraddhana, it is there because I need to do it as an offering of gratitude to my forefathers. That's how I am connecting to them. It is not so much about whether they need it or not. For example, somebody may say that, I mean, a question is raised by Ramanuja, what if somebody is a pure devotee and he has gone back to Godhead? Okay, then does his descendants still need to do Shraddha for him? Answer is they need to do. Because they are not doing it just for that person who has gone. That person may need it, may not need it. That's a different thing altogether. But you need to show your gratitude because of which you need to do. You understood now? So that is how it is described. So this is so the Shraddha and this Tarpana rites, they are obligatory on everybody because we need to show the Kritagnyata to our ancestors. It's not about whether they need or no. That's a separate question altogether. Does it
Okay.
make sense?
And this is only done in the Bhuloka.
Yeah, because this is the land of karma. So please try to understand the heavenly planets are not the land of karma. As in, you don't generate new karma over there. You only live out the karma. Na? It is only the Bhuloka, the Bhagavatam says, and as scriptures in general say, it is a place of fruitive acts where you're doing something karma, you're generating karma. Positive, negative, everything you're generating karma. But in the heavenly planets, there is no generation of karma. There is only living out karma. Of course, somebody can do devotional service in heavenly planet also. Nobody stops you from that. But generally, it is difficult because the environment is so much enjoyment. Nobody is.
I mean, Chitraketu is one example.
Yeah. So no,
There
not.
is
But
yeah.
there are many examples. If you see in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita also in heavenly planets also, people are doing some devotional service and all that. They do that. Not that they don't. But in general, it is difficult. Generally, it is just like I can go to Switzerland and chant Hare Krishna, but generally, if I go to Switzerland, I want to enjoy it.
Yeah. When you go for a vacation, you don't work.
It's
You
like,
don't work.
I go to Switzerland vacation with my family. And if you say, can't you go there and earn money? Well, you can. I mean, nobody stops you. Maybe you can go there and start doing tuitions for some child in Switzerland, teach some mathematics, earn some money. But generally, you don't want to do all that. You've gone to Switzerland for 15 days for a holiday to chill out with your family. Nothing stops you from doing earning money in Switzerland unless the government has some other rules. But generally, you don't. You go there to enjoy. So like that.
Okay, sure. So one connection, you said Krishna says everything is happening according to my will, and he's trying to remain hidden, right? So further he says this verse, na Sutre Manigana. He says this verse of necklace.
Yeah.
So that's the way he says I'm revealed. Like he says, the way he's saying that I'm already hidden, and the hidden way is only my revealed identity in this world.
Yeah. See, so that's what, na. So you understand Krishna through this philosophy, and then if you really want to understand him, you practice bhakti and you perceive him. But otherwise, seeing Krishna in Prakriti not directly like that is very difficult. I mean, it's not there. I mean, you'll have to see through the vision of the philosophy. But otherwise, he isn't there. He's aloof from it, right? He doesn't impose himself so much. That's why I was telling you also earlier that even atheistic philosophy, many times it's quite attractive and justifiable because the world has been created by Lord in such a fantastic fashion. It looks as if He is not needed only here. That's his genius, right, in creating. He's not created in such a way that his interference has to be constantly seen. No, no need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Are Bhav. Yeah, Nitin Sharma Prabhu, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for the wonderful class. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are. Go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji, you are told that Krishna is impartial for giving the bodies, and everybody is getting the body as per the karma. So our previous understanding, the first that everybody gets the human body and then they will get the body as per their karma is applicable here in the same way. Our understanding is correct?
No, I didn't understand. Everybody gets a.
You are telling that Krishna is impartial and everybody is getting the body as per his or her karma.
Yes.
And then everybody got the human body first, and then according to the karma, they are giving different bodies. When we are coming first time from the spiritual world to the material world, the first body we get the human body only.
Yeah, first you get the human body only. But let me tell you one thing, it's a little interesting that about this fall of Jiva from Vaikuntha, not much has been said by any Acharya. I was once discussing this with some devotees as well, and also trying to read up on this. Most Acharyas have not said anything about it at all. Very less information is there on this subject. The first time we came, what happened, and all that. In fact, most of the Acharyas have not even said that we have come from the spiritual world like that first time. So it is like, this topic is something where nobody has said anything. Most Acharyas across Sampradayas, you will not find any information on this. Anybody writing in a commentary that the first time you came from a spiritual world, you came as Brahma, Devata. No, they don't say anything about it. So it is one issue which remains like that one.
So Prabhuji, your statement that Krishna is impartial for giving the bodies and everybody is getting according to the karma. How to fully understand this statement?
Yeah, see, so this karma is considered eternal only. That means it is like the jiva in this material world is anadi. There is no beginning for him. The whole problem is when you put a beginning, then you're stuck. So that's why it's told. Most acharyas have not said anything about what this beginning was. No, they have not said. They have only said that you can go back permanently. That everybody has said. But hardly anybody has said about it. So I think that there's no point in trying to get any information. You will not get anything. There's very, very either less or almost zero information available on the subject.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hi, Bo.
Prabhu, in the final annihilation of the universe, when the universe goes back into the pores of the Mahavishnu, the souls they also go and rest in his body. So what happened to their karma backlog? Is it completely wiped off, or is it remained?
No, the karma remains. The karma remains. The Paramatma
Okay.
has track of it.
Okay, because they have not liberated their karma, everything.
Yeah. The whole karma remains.
Okay.
They are in deep sleep.
So when the new universe comes, they will start off with their karma backlog and with that kind of body and everything, right?
Yes. I'll end with this beautiful example. Ramanuja gives this nice example in this context. Because you asked about it, I'll say. So he says that the Lord is like a mother. Sometimes, children are very naughty. Sometimes there is a mother who has half a dozen children. Whole day the children are doing vidwams at home, beating each other, crying, shouting, howling. So the mother finally she gets fed up with all the nonsense done by these children. So she puts all the children to sleep. Correct? She will off the light and say that come on, all children go to bed now. Enough is enough. Okay, and then all the children go to sleep. And when the children go to sleep, a sleeping child looks very beautiful. I mean, those of you who are parents, you know this, that when a small child is sleeping, the child looks very innocent. So the mother makes all the children go to sleep, but then she again feels compassion looking at the children, thinking that, oh my God, so sweet my children are. I should give them another opportunity to, perform their activities. So she awakens them up after some time and again starts engaging them in different activities. So similarly, Ramanuja says the Lord, the living entities in the universe, when they are active, they start doing all kinds of chaos. So finally, he says, "Chalo, sab so jao, abhi bahut ho gaya." But then when we all go to sleep in the body of Mahavishnu, like the mother, he again feels compassion for us. That, oh, let me give them one more chance to act. Maybe they will do something better now. And then he gives again bodies to see if we are able to do something better. So in this way, Ramanuja gives this example of a mother dealing with children and Mahavishnu dealing with all the Atmas. Okay, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare.